Hello everybody, this is Dustin again. I promised you I would show you a video of the stuff I got for my sword and update you on all this, so here's what I got. I went on Amazon and I bought this. It's a Swindy double-sided white corundum whetstone. It's a 1000 grit or 1400 grit. It's high grade corundum. Ensure effect, sharpening results, double-sided sharpening design, equipped with all that good stuff. And it's made for swords and everything. It's not the longest one. I've seen one that Backyard Samurai had, and his was longer than mine, which I should have looked at his before. I mean, really studied it before. And he said before in the video that the best one is a 200 and 400 or something like that. I got it at 1,400, and he showed that he would never use the 1,000. Like right after I bought it, I found a video where he said he would never use this on a katana, and I was like, that's just great. That's just exactly what I would do, is buy something that another guy would not use. But anyways, it's a good stone. I mean, when I first looked at this, looked it up, and they see the whetstone. It's a whetstone. That's basically what this is. And I thought, well, you spelled wet wrong. That's cool. But they didn't. Anyways, I used it for this the first time I ever used it, because I didn't want to use the katana on it first, because I wanted to get used to using it first. So I did this. And basically what you're supposed to do, and let me put this in proper terms or proper order, you're supposed to take this, take it, because it comes in the rubber thing, and that rubber thing basically is a stand for it, kind of. And so when you put it in, it's basically so when I go against, I'm supposed to push the blade up and down or whatever against it. That's how you sharpen with this thing, and this basically stops it from moving. So it's moving now because I don't have anything in it, but it stops it. So it comes with this. So you take this out, you get a container of water or whatever, and you put it in, and you soak it in there for box hit. Directions say here 5 minutes, but I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and they say anywhere from 15 to half a day, maybe 3 or 4 hours, depending on how well you want the stone to be wet. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this, is it to be wet. Alright, so let me put it, once you take it out of the rubber, it's easy, but putting it back in, that's like really hard. Or not hard, it's just annoying. If it was hard, I couldn't do it, right? But anyways, there he goes. There's that. So I can push against it all day long, and it just won't move. Alright, so once you wet it, then you need to take a bottle of water or whatever you got that holds water, right? And you just keep that there. Cold water, warm water, I don't think it matters as long as it's water. But you let this thing soak. And notice it's an 1,400. Again, Backyard Samurai said he would never use this thing, and I trust him because I've seen his videos and all, and I'm pretty sure there's other people that have sword videos and stuff like that would probably use an 1,000, but I don't know how sharp the other guy had it. I don't know. But anyways, it's an 1,400. 1,000 is used to sharpen. 400 is used to like maintain it, maintenance, like taking out the burrs and stuff. Burrs. And you just kind of do that. Anyways, you wet it. You've got the water bottle. Now you take your knife, and you have 2 ways that you can sharpen this thing. You have the traditional Japanese way, where all they do is they go up and down on the blade, and they do it all the way across the blade. And you've got to have an equal amount of pressure on the blade at all times. And I found out with my katana, I'll talk about that later, but I found out that you've got to hold it at a certain angle. You can't just willy-nilly go and sharpen it the way you want to. And yes, I said willy-nilly, but you have to hold this. Box says anywhere from 10 to 30. I've had other people on YouTube and other people that I've talked to say 45-degree angle, but anywhere from 10 to 45. I used this for the first time and sharpened it, and I did like a 30-degree. And don't ask me how I know it was a 30-degree, because I'm not like this professional scientific guy that knows my angles off the top of my head, but I say it was probably about a 30-degree angle. And basically what I did it the Japanese way here, because Japanese was real easy. Japanese, you just go up and down, and you basically take the water bottle, wet the stone, and then go back and go up and down, up and down, up and down, wet the stone, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then the Western way of doing it, like American way, I guess, if you want to call it Western, that is you basically just do the same. You're going up and down, but this time you're going up and down. But like I've seen some people start here and go like that, but I found it easier for me. I don't like doing it the Western way because it's kind of difficult. But you basically just take the blade like this and you go like that. And I haven't wet the stone, so I'm not really going to do it, but there's that. And then you do the same thing with the water. So you go up and down like that, like an angle. And then you stop, wet the stone, go up and down, angle, wet the stone, stop, da-da-da-da. And you do it again until you get it. And then you basically just do it on both sides. So you have two sides of a knife, two sides of a blade, and basically you just do it on both sides. Now, I've seen videos where they say you do it on one side until you can literally look down the blade and see where it concaves to one side, and that's when you know you're supposed to flip it over and do the other. I don't know. I just kind of do it both sides until I keep going. And I actually did this knife with it. It's a knife I got. Oh, let's open it. It's a knife I got from a men's fellowship at my church. It's got scripture in it. I can do all things through Christ, Philippians 4:13, right? But I did this one, sharpened this one the Western way. So I kind of just, because it's smaller blade, so it was easier for me. So I just basically, do whatever. So did that. And you have like 3 ways that you can test to see how sharp a blade. One is you take it across your arm. And I did this with this one. I didn't do it with that one because I'm afraid that one would chop me up if I got it real sharp. This one would do less damage. And most people don't do it this way, but because it's kind of retarded to do it this way, in my opinion. But you just basically take your arm and you take the blade and you go across your arm. And basically, my arm's pretty hairy, so I'm not afraid to admit that. But it's pretty hairy. And you just basically take it across and you get as much hair as you off on your arm or your leg. I would rather use my leg because I would rather not go in public and say, well, here's my arm, look at this. And they go, what happened, Dustin? Oh, I was sharpening a blade. I was testing the sharpness of a blade, Basically, that's what you do. You just go on. And you don't put much resistance on your arm with the blade going up. You basically just kind of go up lightly. And if it cuts the hair without a problem, then you've got a sharp blade. And then you've got another test where you take a paper. This is a receipt, and I wouldn't use a receipt because receipt's really, really thin. I could take a butter knife and cut this, and it'd be perfectly fine. And it will fool you to think that it's sharp, but it's a butter knife. Butter knives are never sharp unless you are really weird and sharpen your butter knives, because butter is not really something you would want to cut with something sharp. Anyways, unless you froze the butter. I'm rambling. All right, so basically you just take a piece of paper. So for all instruction purposes, I'm using this because I couldn't find another random piece of paper real quick. Whatever, I'm rambling again. Probably because I had my energy drink and whatever. But you basically just take the blade, take a piece of paper. And when I first started doing this, I was tightening the paper and taking the blade and going down and saying, oh, well, it's sharp. That's good, cool. And then leaving it at that. But then I watched a couple videos and tried it the way that other people were doing it. And basically what you do is you hold the paper out, you don't tighten it anything, and you just cut. And if it cuts the paper with no problem, no tension, no nothing, then you're good. If it cuts the paper, so if I have this paper and I'm holding it like this, and I got the blade going in this way, so see my thumb, I'm cutting the paper this way. And if I cut the paper this way and it goes straight down, then that means it's just basically tearing the paper and you don't have it sharp enough. But if I go this way and it cuts the paper this way, then it's sharp. And also, one way that they do it, I've seen a lot of people do it, is they don't cut it all the way down. They make like multiple little cuts, because I don't know why they do that other than it just tells you how sharp it is. So they just cut it a couple times and there you go. So I did that with my knife and with this, and it was sharp enough. So, and then the third way that you can do it is I've seen people take a tomato and you just basically cut really lightly across the tomato, and if it cuts the tomato real easily without you having to saw it, then you've got it sharp enough. But I didn't use a tomato on that because I did all 3 tests. Not with this one. I did two out of 3 with this one. I did all 3 with that one. But anyways, I did 2 out of 3 with this one. I cut the paper and I cut not tomato but chicken. Yes, chicken. I was making sausage. Yes, chicken sausage is actually pretty good. Don't judge me. But I used it and I cut this and I went all through it and it cut it like cutting paper, man, like cutting butter. Yeah, there you go, with a butter knife. That's how easy it was. Like, poop, and it was nice. So then I tried it on this, and I watched a video of Backyard Samurai doing it, and I watched a ton of other videos of how people were doing it, and I was like, okay, well, I'll do it that way, but I didn't do it that way. I'm taking a moment to, like, cry. Because I messed up. I know, I did wrong. But you probably can't see it. But look at that. Okay, you probably see it this way. See all the burnt or the scratches I put on it? I scratched the heck out of this. Or excuse me, I scratched like really bad. Not heck, but bad. Like all on both sides too. Because I was holding it at the wrong angle. But this is my first sword. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I feel bad that I scratched it all the way across on both sides. I stopped. I was sharpening this side first, and then I seen how bad I was doing it, and I was like, oh no, that's awful. So then the other side, I stopped on this side. I flipped it to the other side, and I was like, I'm not going to do it again. It's not going to happen. And lo and behold, I did it the first few times. So I scratched it more on this side than I did the other. But you see what I did. I'm sorry to all you wonderful Japanese katana-loving professionals. I have ruined this katana. I know it. But, and if there's any way that I can actually fix this, I would love to know how to fix it to make it look a little bit better. But basically, that's what I did, and I'm sorry. But, it's sharp. This katana's sharp. I was watching a video, and I seen that actually it was Backyard Samurai, so I'm quoting him a lot for this video because I'm learning a lot from him. But he said that you don't want a katana really sharp. I mean, you can have it really, really sharp enough to like cut easily, but your technique and form is easier or forgiven more when you have it sharp. So I can cut awful with this katana. My form can be off, all of it could be off, and it would cut it regardless of how sharp or not sharp, how bad my form is. But if I have it just sharp enough to where it'll cut, but it's not going to cut it easily, then I'm better off because I can actually practice, so my form being off will actually show. That's what he said, and I trust him. So, but there's that. I messed it up, I know. And I'm actually putting this, I'm holding the blade on this sheath like this because I learned that that's a traditional way to do it. Like if you're presenting a sword, you're supposed to do this. And I'm supposed to do it on the floor with my knees bent, but don't feel like doing that. I'm kind of lazy today. But there's that. And then what else? Got my drink over there. Yeah. I love that thing so much. Go buy it. Go buy the drink. Alright. There's that. Got that. Best thing I could have bought. Wish I would have got a 200 to 400 like Backyard Samurai said, but it is what it is. It works. It sharpens. This will not cut hair, but it'll cut whatever I want it to cut with. And then I bought this. This is a well, you can say traditional, but I read on the box that it came in, made in Japan, or not made in China. There you go. So whatever. But I got it off of Amazon. I watched a video of a guy that had this same exact box, and he said, I bought it on Amazon. It was $12. Well, this one was $9 and whatever amount of cents. So, but it is good. It came with some really good stuff. So you've got this. It's called a. I always forget the name. Mikugi Neko. There you go. That was just off of memory. But there's this thing. And basically, you have pegs in a katana. Most katanas, a lot of katanas have one peg. Mine has two. So it's got one and then two. And so basically what you do is you take this tool, and why would you need this tool is to take out the pegs. And basically, why would you want to take out the pegs? Because most people, when they're cleaning their katana or they're taking care of it and they're oiling it, they take it apart. They take the handle and the suba and all this good stuff off right here. So this and this and this would be taken off. And then the pegs would have to come out first. So you take the pegs out, and then you'd go through the whole process of taking this all apart. And so you hold the tang, and then you clean the blade. And then you oil it, and you put powder on it, and then all this other good stuff that you do to it. I am not going to do that because I'm afraid if I take it apart, then I'm going to not be able to put it back together properly, and it's not going to be as tight and uniform as it is right now. Again, I want to use this sword, but I don't want to ruin it any more than what I've done. I feel bad about that, and I don't want to feel bad about messing up this. So I have not taken it apart. I have, however, taken the pegs out. I want to know if I could do it. So I have taken the pegs out, and the first way I did it wrong. But after doing a lot of research on it, I found out how to do it. Found out a lot of things that, you can actually learn a lot by actually doing research. Who would have thought? But it comes with this. It's called whatever. You heard it the first time I said it. Probably can't say it again. Memory's not working. But basically that's what this is used for. You take, I didn't know this the first time. The first time I did it, I was using this and using a rubber mallet and beating on this to beat this in to take the the peg out. And I laughed because that was like the redneckest way you could have done that. And I learned that after doing research. But basically, you just take this off. Take this, and you've got this. I didn't even know that came out. I was like, oh, that's so cool when a guy did it. But you take this out, and you take the hammer piece there. So it's basically meant to be a hammer. So it's a hammer. Looks like a rubber mallet, right? That's why I used a rubber mallet. I was like, rubber mallet would probably be the best. Don't want to use an actual hammer, but this is a hammer, and it's basically what this is used for. So you basically use this to take this, and I'm doing it the wrong way, or the wrong side, because there's two sides. The peg comes on this side, and the peg goes through, it goes through. And basically, the best way I can explain this is that the peg is flared, sort of, on one side. So I would beat it in on this side and beat it out on the other side. So if I'm taking it apart, I'd go and flip this katana over and beat it in on the bottom side to kind of make the flare go out. But when I'm putting it in, I want to put the flare up and beat down. And basically what I would do is, if I was putting it in, I would poke it in, and then I would take this and beat it across. And you wouldn't do it real hard. You don't want to beat it real hard because it is wood and it will mess up, and you will take this in and indent it. I've seen people do it on, YouTube and researching, and I don't want to do that. So you're supposed to do it softly. So you're supposed to go down and beat it kind of hard, or not hard, softly. There you go, softly. And beat it, and it'll go in. And then what you're supposed to do is, then once you've got it out, take it all apart. Take the suba and all this and this off. I have yet to learn their full Japanese names, but whatever. Handle, Suba, whatever this thing is, and take it off. And then you're left with the tang, which is basically the tang is the piece of the sword that is inside of this handle. So it probably goes down to about, I don't know, probably right here up. And I have yet to do that again because I don't want to ruin it. I've seen where you can put it together wrong and the sword will actually shake because you didn't put it in right. So this sword's not shaking, and it will never shake as long as I have something to say about it, because I don't want to ruin it any more than what I already have. So there's that. Then once you've taken this apart, or taken that apart, what you do is you take, I'll put this back together later, you take this. Now I thought when I first looked at this that this was just basically a napkin or napkins, but it's not. It's actually rice paper, which is really cool. I've never seen rice paper before, and that's basically what this is. And it came with that. Now all of this stuff right here, all of this came in this. So this is basically a box. And it comes apart and it's a wooden box. It's really cool. And they fit all of this, not this, this. Oh, don't you go underneath there. You stay. And they put all of this in there. So this came separately. This was all in there. And I was like, that's so cool. And I started taking it out. And then I didn't clean my sword the first time I got it, because I wanted to sharpen it first before I cleaned it. And I started sharpening it. And then I was like, I'll clean it later. So then I did that. And I put it all back in. And it was not as neat and proper as the way it was packaged. And I just have no idea how they put all that in this little tiny bitty box. But anyways, I'm rambling. Probably because I had my drink. Again, best drink in the world. But rice paper. And basically what you do is once you've had the tang, or you take the sword apart. Okay, for me, I'm not going to take it apart. So what I did is basically I took it off out of the sheath, right? And then I laid it like this outside because I didn't want oil to be on this table. I've already messed up the table a little bit because of see the dust? That was already there, but see the dust. Probably shouldn't have put that on this table. I can clean it, whatever. But there's that. And basically what I did is leave it like this. Then you take a rag, one of the rags, or the papers. That's what I did. I watched a video on YouTube where a guy took a rag, and he had a color-coded rag. He had a blue and a light blue or whatever, and he used the light blue one to take the goo off and the blue one to do whatever. But basically what I did is I took this and wiped the blade down, got all the nastiness off of it. Which there was a lot of nastiness on this blade. The very first video that I did showed you guys, I showed you some white stuff that was all over across the blade. And I basically cleaned it the first time, but every time I put it in the back of the sheath, I'm guessing there's white stuff in this sheath. I have no idea, but it's there. And so I did that. I cleaned it. And then you take another piece out. And then you take this thing. I know all of you people were probably looking at this thing like, what in the world is this thing? And when I first watched a video of the guy cleaning it, because I wanted to know what kit I needed to buy. And I've had two people tell me one person tell me they take baby powder and clean the blade with the baby powder. That's how they oil it. Or not baby powder. Baby oil. But I don't want my blade to smell like baby oil. You know. And then I had another guy tell me, or Backyard Samurai, tell me to use WD-40, which I could have done that. That probably would have been a really good idea, but I wanted to go traditional. There's nothing wrong with that. But so I got this thing, and this is a Uchiko or something like that. That's how it's basically. It's UCHIKO, and it's Uchiko powder. But Basically, this is powder that you put on the blade. I have no idea what it does or why you put this powder on the blade, but you do it. So you've cleaned off the blade, all the trash, white stuff off of it, or whatever trash you've got on your blade, rust, whatever it may be. You've got it off with your rag. Then you take this and you lightly tap across all the way across the blade, flip it over, and do the same other side and tap it. Right? So then once you're done tapping it, you take that other rag that you had laid aside, pick it up, and you wipe down the blade. And I should have mentioned this the first time. When you're cleaning the blade, you never, ever, this is when you're putting on oil, when you're cleaning off the powder, when you're cleaning off the rust and the trash that's on your blade from you using it, you never, ever want to do what other people do. I've seen it, where you go up and down the blade to clean it. Nope, you don't do that. You basically just take the rag and you go down one side, take off the trash, get a clean side on the rag, and do the same thing. Clean side of the rag, do the same thing until you've got all the trash off. And basically you do that with this powder. You powder both sides, and then you take the excess powder with your fresh rag that you've got and you wipe it down. And you wipe it. So you don't go back and forth, you wipe it down. For a clean side of the rag, wipe it down. Okay, then once you've got that done, and you've got to make sure, see this little slit? There's a Japanese name for it. Most people call it like the blood, whatever, sheath or whatever it's called. I don't know. But it's there. And you're supposed to take the powder and make sure you get in there. And make sure you take your rag when you're cleaning it and get it in there, because you don't want powder or anything on this blade after you're done. I mean, you want the powder to be kind of on there, but you don't want it to be visible. All right. So then once that is done, then you take another fresh rag, or you can use the rag that you use for the powder. I use the rag for the powder. Probably not the best idea, but that's what I use. If I run out of rags, I'll probably use tissue paper, because I've seen videos where guys have taken tissue paper. I want to kind of preserve these a little bit because I think it's cool to have rice paper. That's probably weird, but I think it's pretty cool. But anyways, I take that, and you take a fresh rag or the one that you use for the powder, and you put the oil on it. And this is Japanese sword oil. It's just oil, and it doesn't smell weird. It doesn't have a weird smell or anything. Well, it has a smell, but not weird smell. Okay. And you basically just take the top off, and it comes with that. So I just poked a hole, because I knew that if I took all the plastic or the aluminum off, that I would run the chance of putting too much oil on the rag, because that's a lot of oil. So I figured if I poked a little hole in it, less oil would come out. So there's that. And you just basically take the oil. I probably should be doing this as I'm describing it to you, because I need to do it, but I figured it would be kind of hard to do this and have a video of it at the same time. And this is a pretty long video by itself anyways, but you just basically take the oil, put it on one side of the rag. Like if the rag was divided, you would put this side with oil. Okay, then you take this side with oil. You don't want too much oil, and you don't want too little oil. You want just the right amount of oil, because too much oil, I've read and seen that it will mess up your sheath. Like it'll mess up the inside of your sheath or whatever. And if you put too little oil, then it defeats the purpose of the whole reason why you're putting oil on it, because you've got to wipe the excess oil off. And if you put too much little, too little oil, then you're basically just wiping all the oil that you just put on off. So, makes sense? Right. So you have oil here, and then you take it and you kind of pinch it a little bit, and you go down see, that's the cutting edge. This is not the cutting edge. So you take the not cutting edge, and you go down the whole blade. Again, you don't want to go flip. You don't want to go back and forth. You want to just go down one time, start again, down one time, take it off, start again, down one time. And you don't want to put your powder or your oil on this. I have no idea why, probably because it's brass or whatever, but you don't do that. You just keep it on the blade and you go all the way down. And again, the slit, you want to make sure you get oil on that too, because you don't want to have rust or nastiness inside your slit. All right. Then, once you've got oil all over the blade on both sides, so you basically, if you feel like when I did it, I felt like it wasn't enough. So you do this, and then if you feel like it, like you think it's not enough oil on it, you take the side of the rag that you got oil and you go down. So you've got the rag facing this way now. So instead of doing it like this, you've got it this way with the oil side, and you go down. And then you flip the blade over and do the same thing. All right, so now you got oil on it. You put the powder on it, you've cleaned it. If you want to go real traditional and take it apart, you've taken it apart. In fact, you can go really traditional. And I've seen a video where a person takes the sheath and he basically gets on his knees and he bows the blade and all that. So you can do all that if you want to. I'm just wanting to take care of the blade and maintain it. And I'm probably not showing respect to the blade by not bowing to it or whatever, but I'm not doing that. That's just not me to bow to a blade. But it's not out of respect. It's just I don't feel right bowing to a blade. I bow to God and Jesus. I don't bow to a blade. Sorry. That's just the way I am. But you can go traditional with it and do all that good stuff, or you can do what I did and just leave it like it is and just clean it the best you can. All right, so then you have the oil on it, and you take the side that you didn't put the oil on, and you do the same thing. You don't put oil on it, though. Let me explain. You don't put oil on it. You just basically take the clean side that you had on the rag and wipe off the oil, the excess oil. Because, again, too much oil will mess up your sheath. Not enough oil will defeat the purpose of your blade, or oil in your blade. So you just basically take the clean side and you do it, and you clean it. Wipe the excess off, all right? Then you're done. You've cleaned off the blade. You've put the oil. You've taken the excess off. Then you can put all of this back in there. I'll do it later, but okay. So then you put it all back. You close it up. Then there's this. Don't remember if I've explained this to you already, but I'm going to do it again just in case. This is a container. Basically, I'm going to use it for holding the pegs because I know for a fact that if I do take the pegs out, I'm going to lose them. They're going to fall on the floor because I do this outside because I don't want oil on the table or anywhere else or the powder on the table. So I'd probably lose this, and my dog would probably find it and eat it and swallow it, and I'd lose it. So basically I'm going to put the pegs that are from here in this container so I don't lose them. So the way if I drop this, it won't go anywhere because I'll have the pegs in it with the container